So aloha, Lahaina. Thank you folks for taking the time to come here on Wednesdays. If this is your first time, welcome. But if you've been coming every week, thank you. Our goal tonight is to share information. And at the end, we'll be available on all the different tables, if you look around the gym, to answer individual questions that you might have about your unique situation. We understand everybody has a slightly different issue that they might be dealing with. We want to update you on a couple of things. So of course, housing. That's a #1 concern for our community right now. What's happening on that? So we will be getting an update from some of our partners that are here tonight. So again, if you have a unique situation, please, come and see us as well. The other is the request for more help on mental health and wellness. That is, again, kind of impacted by the housing issue. So I want you to know that that's another, we're partnering also with other groups with us for that. And any individual concerns you have, please see us tonight before you leave. We want to make that contact and hopefully assign some folks to help you or your situation. Again, off to the side, we don't have to address it in front of everybody. The other thing I wanted to update you on is our advisory team, the Lahaina advisory team. And it couldn't be more perfect. Couldn't be more perfect. As I say that, Laurie Le De Gama walks right down the aisle, like right on cue. Laurie, no, we're on this side. And yeah, we're this side. So for some of you who didn't know, your community makes up our advisory team. And you just saw Lori Lake, because that's how she rolls. She come in right on time. Kaiko Storer is also with us, Archie Kalepa, and Kim Ball. We also have Rick Nava and Nestor Ugale are also. So we have a 6-member team. Our team grew by 1 member over the last couple of weeks, more formally this past week. Part of the reason for that is we have 6 areas that we are working on in our recovery office and our recovery team. So we now have 6 members, 1 for each of those areas. So I think I'm going to ask Kaiko if she'll represent the entire team, because one of the things we've been hearing from the community is, what is the advisory team? What is their kuleana? What are they doing? And how can you maybe have more interaction with them? So this is Kaiko. And I didn't warn them, so sorry.
We're always ready, in season. So aloha mai kako, ovau o Kaliko Lehua store. So I'm one of the 6 members, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you an overview of what we do and what we've been doing. So we meet on Monday evenings from 5 until we're done. And then we also meet here as to be conduits for our community. And then we meet on Fridays from 5 until we're done. And the things that we gather are things from our own circles of influence, and then we send it down into the different buckets. So I'm going to go down from my bucket. I help to be a conduit for our cultural and natural resources, air, water, land. And what that would look like is we had a rain event, and we went into the zone, we went into the entire zone to look if there's best management practices to set up prior to the rain event, and then do a run through after the rain event, and then work alongside our state, federal, and county partners to ensure that they didn't miss the one spot that maybe was behind something else. And so it really just help us different set of eyes for our natural and cultural resources. So within my committee, I have Kaipo Kekona, there's Kai Keahi, Jeremy Delos Reyes, that we all just become greater eyes into our community. We partner with Mike Tihada and his team, Shane Agawa and his team, to just provide greater insight. We go to Lori DeGamas, and she is the health and welfare. And so Miss Lori belongs to PTSA, Lahaina Luna High School. She's the hapo bread down on Front Street. But her focus is well-being. And so what it looks like for her is really finding environments or finding maybe some type of assembly for our children in the different schools to provide laughter for the kids while they're in school. I'm just giving you a small snapshot of what she's doing. And so she's finding these people to come and be a part of our education system and things and so forth. Is that correct? Okay. And the kupuna as well. And then she's also she gives a recap of the day on her Facebook. So you want to know what we're doing, just go read her Facebook page. Archie Kalepa is doing infrastructure and housing. And that is a very, very, very big subject. And we all know that. And what it looks like for Archie is he has a very awesome team. It's Mish and his wife and everybody else that is partnering with them. And what it looks like for Archie is meeting with feds, state, county, anybody that will open the door to talk about housing. What it would look like as boots on the ground is somebody calls you at 1 o'clock in the morning and they say that I have to be relocated or moved to another hotel room with family members. The boots on the ground become Archie, his wife, his administrative assistant, his children, whoever's up. And that's what it's been looking like for Archie as that bucket is really going out to see with his eyes and be able to help and then dig down to find solutions for housing. We have Kim Ball, Coach Kim. He is part of the economic recovery. And he's also a coach. He also loves to surf. So he was a real big advocate on opening up Launiopoko Beach. So we're very, very grateful that we can get people in the ocean. And so thank you to our Parks and Recs for really working overtime to make sure that the debris was removed and the tables were painted red. And so, so go ahead and give our team. So thank you, Coach. Also finding economic recovery. What does that look like? It's a tough conversation to have, but he's willing to have it. And he's willing to really just bring to the table how do we better balance our rebuild, our debris removal, and also keep the economic engine going. Who else am I missing? We have Rick Nava. Rick Nava is part of our community planning, and he's out currently really advocating for the Boys and Girls Club funding through the Rotary. So he travels often to really help bring money into our nonprofits so that our children have well-being at the top of mind. And then for Nestor, we are working through that. But Nestor's big push alongside with Rick Nava is really helping to build a resource center for our Filipino community. So that is going through the works right now. And that is a really big ask from our Filipino community. And so they are working, they have a team as well of Lahainans that are helping to stand up so that our Ohana have people that look like them, sound like them, and that can better help them in this time. So that is the overview of what we do. And we are conduits for all of you. So just be kind, give us grace, and aloha to all of you. Aloha.
Thank you, guys. They do so much already and then make the time to come. So they're here tonight. If anybody wants to ask them questions about those individual buckets. You know, I forgot to mention, yesterday we submitted a bill to the county council requesting that we be able to waive taxes for people who want to take part in our recovery, and specifically to make their short-term rentals, timeshares, or second, third, or fourth homes available for our folks here on Maui. And that did pass the council yesterday. There's going to be a final reading next week. We're hoping to implement that very shortly with the help of a lot of people at the county, the Department of Finance, and a lot of folks up at the mayor's office will be making calls and trying to get that. Obviously, we're shooting for 2,700 to maybe 3,000 rooms if we can to, again, help people who are transitioning out of hotels. So that is an update I wanted to give on housing. Sorry, I forgot about that earlier. And at this time, I'm going to turn it back over to Josh. Josh Aquinde is our acting administrator. Mima, I know you folks have been spoiled with Daryl Oliveira. We all have. We miss Daryl. He is home back in Hilo. He was here on contract for 90 days, and that contract ended. We're hoping to get him back here every Wednesday and Thursdays. He just couldn't make it today. 3 of his grandchildren were sick, and he is grandpa, taking care of his kids, like his grandkids, like he should be, or else he'd be here. He loves the interaction he's had with the Lahaina community, you folks out here, especially during the reentry. But please give your attention to Josh right now.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it, sir. I know you were spoiled with Chief Oliveira, but as the saying goes, age before beauty, right? I'm joking. But anyway, aloha and good evening, everybody. Like Mayor said, my name is Josh. I met you all a few weeks ago when they fortunately asked me to facilitate the meeting, and it's still a big honor for me. So tonight's meeting will not change. You're still going to hear from a slew of hosts. I'll give you an update from the MEMA side of the house, the emergency side of the house. Then you're going to hear from our U.S. Army Corps partners, Environmental Protection Agency, our infrastructure branch. So it's a coalition of our DPW, our Department of Public Works, Department of Environmental Management, State Department of Health. You're going to hear from our FEMA Region 9 Administrator, Bob Fenton, as well as from SBA tonight. But before we get into that agenda, an update from the Maui Emergency Management Team, bringing up Daryl Oliveira again. He made a promise to you months ago that it's his duty that we will build trust with the community again. And I want to let you know that even though he's gone, we're going to carry on that momentum. Okay? We are very dedicated to continue to do that. So we are improving our internal processes to make sure that all of you are prepared for whatever happens next. Any other emergency that comes our way, we're working hand in hand with our partners from Washington in Incident Management Team, our Hawaii County Civil Defense partners and firefighters. We're working with our folks over from Montana, as long as our partners you see here along this front row. So we're gaining a group of subject matter experts, and we get to pick the best practices and implement them here in Maui. And a lot of them are really groundbreaking. So we, again, are dedicated to continue improving our processes to making sure that you are prepared for whatever event comes next. As the mayor brought up transition, I'm happy to report, and again, I want to thank you for your patience during this whole re-entry process. Next Tuesday will end re-entry. We're on track for that. And as that ends, by practice, that's going to end our response phase of this operations. And we're going to transition everything to the recovery office. So as you can see, it's trending. So we hear more different presentations from our staff here. That's part of that transition from response into recovery. So as we prepare for the next event, you're still going to see us because we're going to make sure that the recovery team is set up for success. Part of that success, I'm just going to introduce Keone from HCF. He's part of the long-term recovery team, and he just wants to give a quick spiel for you folks.
Aloha kako, aloha e ko Lahaina, e ko Maui ko mohana, e ka malu ulu o lele. My name is Keone Kuoha. I work for HCF, that's my day job, but I've also been asked to help set up our long-term recovery group for the fires. You hear recovery in a lot of terms. I want to just be clear about what this is. Right now, you don't have a central place that handles individual unmet needs. When something in your life, you have a gap, insurance doesn't pick it up, government's not helping. The long-term recovery group is where you come, and those needs are met by philanthropic organizations like HCF. We have money, others bring muscle, others bring materials, and that's where those needs are addressed. Right now, we're in the process of standing that organization up, and it needs to be led by community. Even though I'm here, we have state and county partners that are setting it up. The community is really going to be in charge of this and running it. So I have a little table back there with some partners. If you're in that space right now, you can talk about this. You want to be part of the setup, please come and see us, and we'd love to talk to you about it. Mahalo.
Aloha, Keone. Thank you very much for that. So again, as we transition from response to recovery, expect still to see us, but we're going to continue that promise to build trust with you. Okay? So moving on to the agenda, we're going to carry on with our U.S. Army Corps.
Good evening. I'm Colonel Jess Curry from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Appreciate the opportunity to stand before you once again and share. So as I've mentioned before, so for the on-the-ground, day-to-day effort to support this recovery effort for the Corps of Engineers, I command what's called a recovery field office, and it's all the personnel from across the Corps that come together to be a part of this effort. So I want to provide a couple of quick updates in the time we have, since I know there's many things out there that you want to know how they're going, and we owe that to you. So first, I want to start with debris removal. We're continuing to make great progress in Lahaina for debris removal. What we're doing right now for the Corps is what we call phase 1 operations, which primarily is site assessments. So you see the teams out there with their cultural monitors, continuing to watch and observe, help us understand what's on each of these parcels, that we are focusing our efforts to make our plans for how, when we reach the next phase, we're going to go in and appropriately, safely, and completely remove all the material that would cause you any concern. So they're working through that now. As of today, we're just over 90% complete with all those assessments in Lahaina. Additionally, we're working to remove vehicles, burned vehicles from Lahaina. We're about 45–50% done with that effort as well. That is proceeding well, and again, every property is different. It's critical for us to have the right advisors there with us as we look at your properties to make sure we understand what's there as we make plans for that future debris removal. Additionally, what I would say is the next steps that are ongoing now and continue to take shape is the receipt of rights of entry. So to date, I think that the county has received well over 1,200 rights of entry from this community for Lahaina. And as they're continuing to work through those and work with us so that we can utilize those rights of entry to make plans to start the debris removal, I would encourage everyone, if you haven't worked through the rights of entry, ask the questions and address the concerns that you might have, I would encourage you to do that as quickly as possible so that we can have those, we can start working through those and finalize our plans for how the debris removal is going to proceed through Lahaina. So really, really important that you do that. We have support folks that are ready to help you with those tough questions. We don't expect you to not have concerns or questions as you work through this process, but the team from the Corps of Engineers, the team from the county is there to help address those concerns. We also have a 7-day-a-week call center that they have the number back there at the table for you if you don't already have it. It is available on mauirecovers.org, but that's all focused to help you understand what the process will be, how we will work through these very unique properties, and finish this job in a way that you're going to be happy with, that we will make sure that the job is done completely, it is done correctly, and that we protect the things that are most sacred to you and help your Aina recover as a part of this process. We're looking for that start date for actual debris removal to start in Lahaina in the mid-January timeframe. The things that we have to continue to move forward in order for us to hit that date is, again, the receipt of the rights of entry, so we can understand how we're gonna work the teams through the town of Lahaina and do that in a way that will be as efficient as possible. But also the construction of a temporary debris storage site where we're going to take this ash and this debris. That construction is underway, but that is really one of the other determining factors for completion of that storage site in that mid-January timeframe is what we're working to achieve so that we can start removing this debris from Lahaina. Critically important that we recognize that start date, and we're fighting through all just the normal challenges in delivering that for this community so we can get started there. I'll shift then to the other topic I wanted to just quickly mention, and if you've been out near the airport here north of Lahaina, you have probably noticed that the temporary school to replace the King Kamehameha III Elementary School is under construction. It is moving very quickly. We issued the notice to proceed for that school on the 20th of November. The contractor that has that job was working that same day, starting to remove, starting to grade, to clear, they've continued to move at that pace, and it is really amazing to see how much progress they're making. If you go up there today and drive past, you'll see the modular facilities are arriving on site. They're starting to place them. They're putting in utilities. They really are making great progress. We gave them a tough challenge. We said from that notice to proceed, 95 days to deliver this school. And the goal for that was, in order to get it done as quickly as possible, provide a world-class facility to this community, but also to get it in the time that, ideally, I know Department of Education, we're working very closely with them to make this the facility that it should be for the teachers and the kids. I know their goal is to be through all of that so that kids can be back in that school on the other side of spring break this academic year. That's our shared goal, and I'll tell you, we are working as hard as we can to make sure that we achieve that goal, again, for those teachers, those kids that need that place to go after the unfortunate destruction of the King Kamehameha III school. I want to give a shout out to our contractors out there working. Many of those that are out there driving the dozers and working the excavators are from Lahaina, and they have lost homes. They have children that will go to that school, and you can tell every day you go out there and see the work they're doing. You can tell that this is more than just a construction project to them, and that gives me a lot of confidence that this is gonna be exactly what this community needs. We do have some displays up here at the front, and afterwards we'll also have them over at our table. We'll stay here tonight as long as necessary to answer any questions about anything that I've talked about or anything that I missed. And again, really want to say thank you for just the unique opportunity and privilege to be a part of this recovery effort and help in an important way to get this recovery going. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Next, we'll be hearing from the Environmental Protection Agency. Yes, sir. Stand right here and then make sure you hold this.
Aloha. My name is Steve Kalinag. I've been EPA's Incident Commander for the hazardous materials removal, the Phase 1 work that we began in August and began in Upcountry and have recently finished in Lahaina. Phase 1 is complete. We have removed, our job was to remove hazardous materials that our teams could identify and readily access and load onto our trucks and get out of there. What this means is that not all the hazards were readily identifiable or have been mitigated. Some of this hazardous materials likely still exist buried under collapsed homes and other debris. There are still plenty of physical hazards out there, trees and damaged buildings. So we urge returning residents to follow all the precautions as elaborated by the county and the state when they do return to their homes. The remaining hazardous materials that the Corps of Engineers encounters in Phase 2, once they begin removing debris, and once they find that, will then be removed at that time. All hazardous materials will be shipped off island to the mainland for proper disposal. EPA continues to apply soil stabilizer, the soil tack, which many of you know about that. We've got about a week's worth of work before we're done with that. Our teams, EPA's hazardous material teams, will be complete and demobilized by December 21st. That does not mean that EPA will be gone from Maui, as my colleague will talk about in a second. But the hazardous materials work will end, and we've handed the baton off to the Corps of Engineers for Phase 2 work. It's actually already begun. Just a little background. I've been with the EPA for 33 years. I've been doing disasters emergency response, and this response is unique in many ways. I think for me personally, it's working with the community, especially the community leaders here. And I want to give a little shout out to some key folks. Auntie Makalapua, I know she's here. She's been instrumental in there she is, guiding us and advising us how to do this the Maui way. Uncle Keomoku, and his son Kaiko have been instrumental in establishing the cultural monitoring program, which many of the agencies after us are adopting as well. This has been a tremendous effort from EPA's team. We've had folks from all across the country come out, and there's truly magic in Maui, as they will all attest. They come back again and again to help, and as they will in the coming months. I just did also want to point out that in the course of our work, we've had at the height 250 members of our team, of which over 50% are from Maui and from Lahaina. And so there's the capacity now to do a lot of great work here in Maui now and in the future. Many of these of our trained personnel have been picked up by subsequent government contracts to continue the work here in Phase 2. With that, I'm going to hand it off to my colleague Tomas Torres, who is from EPA's water program, to talk about drinking water, wastewater, and stormwater issues.
Well, aloha. My name is Tomas Torres, and I am the director of the Water Division at EPA in San Francisco. I wanted to first thank the community for having us here, for inviting us to be part of this important forum. I did want to first introduce, I am here to introduce not only the water program as we transition from response to recovery. Our main mission is to support the county via FEMA to support restoring and bringing back the drinking water system and the wastewater systems to get people connected back to those services. We did bring a number of subject matter experts today, and I want to encourage you, if you have any water questions, whether it's drinking water, wastewater, even watershed issues or questions, we have a whole crew of subject matter experts that can assist you. So I want to encourage you to tap that resource. In the immediate assignment that we have is to assist the county to conduct closed circuit TV, basically sending cameras down into the pipes to assess the damage, to assess the condition of the pipelines, and then make some decisions on restoring, fixing those pipes, and then getting those systems back online. One update on that is that we expect to begin that work probably as soon as January, mid-January, and we expect that work to continue for about a month. So we're hoping to expedite that as quickly as we can, but that is our primary mission at the moment, is to focus our efforts to assist the county to assess the condition of the wastewater system. We also have a sustainability advisor that is also here to provide technical expertise on how to make the system, the water, whether it's water, wastewater, watersheds, more resilient and sustainable moving forward. So we really look forward to working with you all as we transition to the recovery phase. And please don't hesitate to come and say hello and to have us answer any questions or any concerns that you may have moving forward. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. So real quick before we bring up the next team, I forgot to point it out earlier. I just want to thank our American Sign Language team here for your continued support. And then for anyone in the room who's having, whose English is your second language or has any trouble understanding, we do have interpreters available in the back. Ladies, please raise your hand back there. So please go ahead. Thank you, ladies. And go see them if you need some support, okay? So now carrying on with the agenda, you're going to hear from our County of Maui Public Works team. Thanks, John. Sorry about that.
Thanks, Josh. Hello, everyone. My name's John Smith. You may have seen me around at some other meetings. I'm humbled to be here tonight. My role is sort of a dual effort in this effort. My day job is I'm the highways chief for the county, but I'm also involved with leading our infrastructure efforts and working with all these federal partners. I won't talk long, and I brought Mike Tejada, who probably doesn't need an introduction with you folks today, to talk just a little bit about some of the efforts that we've done on the streets in Lahaina. So early after the event, you know, Mike and his guys were very involved with cleaning the streets and preparing the way for emergency operations. It was, of course, a vital effort, but along the way, very early, we decided that we needed to put a special effort into protecting the environment and the nearshore waters. So his team worked tirelessly for the last several months, cleaning all the streets, and then we partnered with the State Department of Transportation, the Federal Highways folks, and a number of contractors to deploy BMPs. BMPs are best management practices. They caution me not to use acronyms. So basically, it's all of the straw tubes and all of the filter socks that you see. We've got thousands and thousands of feet of that stuff has been deployed, and its whole purpose is to prevent the debris that was in the streets or that could be mobilized to the ocean from getting into those storm drains. So we've been doing that work tirelessly, and if you've been in there, you've seen some of that work. But one of the big things and why we brought this up tonight was because of the recent rains, we were quite concerned with how they would operate, and I just wanted Mike to come up and talk a little bit about some of his work and how they worked and how that impacts the rest of what's going on here. So I'll pull up Mike now and let him talk a little bit. But thank you for having me.
Hello, everybody. Mike Tejada, Lahaina Highways. They had me sitting down on that chair way too long. The thing is tight, and I could breathe, so I probably would forget everything I was going to say. So I just winging them, letting you guys know what went on. Little bit updates from Lahaina Highways leading up to the Kona storm. We basically went around the district within the burnt zone, inspecting and adjusting all previously set BMPs within the hot zone. We also installed 1,500 feet of new BMPs that we found in unprotected areas, which includes Mala Ditch and Malu'ulu'olele Ditch. So we placed all of that prior to the storm. Storm rolled in, we had crews available, basically rolling around town, monitoring our problematic areas, adjusting, watching, monitoring, making sure everything was taking place how it was intended to take place. BMPs was working as designed. It did filter a lot of dirt, debris, preventing all of that foreign debris from getting into the ocean water. After the storm, we did go around the hot zone, basically cleaning up all of the settlements and debris that was prevented from the BMPs from going into the storm drains. We've been having great success. Everything was working, like I said, as planned. We removed 11 cubic yards of material from entering the ocean, and basically hoping everything works out and no more big systems rolling in. So that's about it.
I wanted to say something before we got to our next. So on August 8th, I don't know how many hundreds of people we had in here, because this was our evacuation center. And then when the fires got about a half mile away, we had to evacuate this location. And I just wanted to publicly thank Mike Tejada, who was the county representative working in here on that night when things were happening in his own place. He stayed here, he helped us. Not only, there was no power, no wastewater, no water, nothing was working here. And he was our only contact that we could get on a radio because there was no power. And he stayed here and he got all the people from here out to Kapalua when we had to go to the Maui Preparatory School without any permission and open their school up for the people that needed some place to stay. in our county. Yes, that's Mike. I just needed you to know this because I know stories are going to start to come out about different things that happened, but since I saw him here tonight, so Zeke and Josiah Nishita, they took our trucks from the EOC, brought them out here with supplies and water, but they couldn't make it all the way to Kapalua. We had one satellite phone that's assigned to the mayor's office. That phone, Mike, them took out to Kapalua so the people out there could have some way of trying to contact family and not knowing where everybody was that night. But he's the guy that did all that, so you guys should thank Mike. Mahalo.
Thank you for that, sir. And Mike, thank you. Next, you're going to hear from our County Department of Environmental Management Director, Shane Aawa.
Good evening, everybody. Shane Aawa, Director of Environmental Management. I'm proud to be part of this community, your community, our community. So tonight I'm going to give a brief update on the wastewater situation and then more about the debris disposal portion. So on the wastewater side, in the last meeting there are a lot of concerns about what's going on with the wastewater. We heard from people from Wahikuli. As Tomas mentioned earlier, we reached out and a lot of support came to us from the federal side, from the state side. We had a meeting today that lasted about 3 hours. And just to let you folks know, there is a lot of support for us. We can't do that project on our own. There's no promises, but we are looking to move forward with sewering of Wahikuli if possible. The other question is, for people those who have homes in the burn zone that are still standing, one of the questions was, when are we going to get sewer service? So as was mentioned earlier, the first thing we need to do is find out what the damage is in our system. Once we clear our system, then we can start planning on allowing people to hook up again. With the help of EPA, we have support to do debris inspection of our lines, 95,000 lineal feet of sewer line. That's a huge task for us. Our team can't do it alone. So thank you to Tomas and all of the EPA teams. It's amazing the support they brought today. They outnumbered the county people at that meeting 4-1. They brought out all the SMEs, the subject matter experts. I'm grateful for that. Our treatment plant in Lahaina, I mentioned in the last meeting, we had issues there. It is still fragile. As I mentioned earlier, in the last meeting, we still are servicing the northern part of West Maui. About half our customers are still being serviced by one treatment plant. I say fragile because due to the fire, we found out there's an additional intrusion into our sewer system. That means there's damage to our system. There's saltwater intrusion, there's the ash. I gotta give props to John and Mike from Public Works. When that Kona Low rolled in, there were a lot of sleepless nights for me, anticipating our treatment plant going down with the ash going, washing away with the storm water into our system. They did an awesome job with the BMPs, preventing our system from going down and having a sewer catastrophe basically on our hands. Our team worked tirelessly, our wastewater team, preparing for that Kona Low. They did a lot of plugging of the system, trying to isolate it, anticipating the runoff to bring ash into our system. Luckily, with the help of Public Works, we prevented a lot of that ash from getting into our system. As of yet, as I mentioned with the damage assessment, we still have to find out what actually got into our system. But for now, the treatment plant is doing okay. We still are servicing half of Lahaina, as I mentioned, and we're still under compliance, but it's still fragile. Now on to the other aspect of our department, which is on the solid waste side. And as was mentioned, the phase 1 portion of the recovery is basically complete. Now we're moving into the debris removal and disposal. So our department is tasked with the final disposition of that debris. One of the concerns that was brought up was what sites have we looked at? So our team at Solid Waste worked tirelessly. We have a chart here that shows the different sites we looked at, how we scored them. There's no perfect site for this debris. We just have to do the best possible way to find the site that makes the most sense. And our department is tasked with the health and safety of the public as well as the environment. So to leave that debris out there exposed, that's not for the greater good of the health and safety of the people. We need to get that into a final containment site. Part of the reason I'm going to give this presentation is also there was some confusion on the site itself that we're looking at. So, as you know, the state gave us the right to utilize lands in Olowalu. That was from a right of entry that was granted to us at a BLNR meeting. What the right of entry allows us to do is to temporarily have management over that site until an executive order from the governor's office transfers the management of that property to us. As Colonel Curry mentioned earlier, there's two different projects, two different totally isolated projects. One is the TDS, which is a temporary debris storage site. The temporary site is under the Army Corps' jurisdiction. That's the work that you kind of see going on right now. That is just there to hold the debris and to allow the expeditious removal of the debris from your lands. We need to get that debris off of the lands exposed as part of the recovery process. The second part, which is a totally different project in itself, comes under the county purview, which is the final disposition site. The proposed site, and I stress proposed, is right adjacent to the TDS at the same Olowalu Cinder Quarry. Now, we did look at sites, as I mentioned before. We have our team in the back. If you have any questions regarding disposal of debris and final disposition, we have all the experts back there, and we can explain to you all the steps that we took to come out with this proposal. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you, Shane. Next up, we'll have the State Hawaii Department of Health.
Aloha. My name is Kathy Ho. I'm the Deputy Director for Environmental Health. I wanted to give you an update. So yesterday we had the community meeting up in Kula. What we did was the Department of Health, in conjunction with Healthy Babies, Healthy Mothers, set up a van to screen and allowed for screening of lead in people's bodies. So we're going to we're working on logistics to get that to this community center. And in addition to that, you can get your flu shot and your COVID vaccine. So we're going to try to do that in the next couple of weeks. The other thing is for Lahaina specific, I reported last week and the week before that we had taken samples of the ash in Lahaina. So we got the samples back, we got the results back today. We're analyzing it and we will share that out with all of you as soon as we can. So we'll probably be doing a press release, and with that press release you can click on it and you can get the actual results. So that will be coming in the next couple of days. The other thing is, I reported that several weeks ago, what we've been doing in Kula is we've been encircling the burn area and the work that the Corps is doing with purple sensors and EBAMs. And what we wanted to do was we wanted to make sure that when they were doing the debris removal, that the ash wasn't coming up and going to be affecting the public or the homes. And so we got those results back yesterday. Preliminarily, it looks very good. It doesn't look like there was any asbestos, and there was very low levels below the site screening action levels of heavy metals. So what that indicates to us is that the Corps is doing a very good job at mitigating the dust. The other thing I wanted to tell you was we had a team from our Clean Water branch out here today to look at the best management practices, so those swaddles that they were talking about, and it all looks good. The other thing is we have since installed another 5 purple sensors in Lahaina, so that brings us to a total of 25 in Lahaina, and we're still going to be installing more. We had a team from Hawaii, from Oahu, our clean water branch and wastewater branch and all of that, was out here with EPA to talk with the county, and we're here to support the county. I'm here with Joanna Cito, who is our division administrator in the back, and we're happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc. Next up, we'll hear from our FEMA Region 9 Director Administrator, Bob Fenton.
Thank you. Well, thank you. Good to be here tonight with everyone. I'm going to focus, while we're supporting many of the missions you've heard about today, really I want to focus on housing. It's really probably one of the most complex missions that we're dealing with right now. As I told you before, I've been to many disasters before in my career, and this is one of the more complex ones in a number of areas, especially with the housing situation, especially even pre-disaster housing and availability of rentals was complex. So thus far, we've provided housing assistance to almost 4,000 people here on Maui that have been affected by the fires. Of that, we've provided about 3,700 people rental assistance. And that assistance is made to allow you to go rent units. And one of the things we've done is increase that rental assistance to 175% of fair market rental rate to provide you more funding to rent. One of the things we're seeing from that is only about 200 people have been able to use that rental assistance to rent because we see it in the application for continual rental assistance. What we're trying to do is help by partnering with nonprofits to work back with individuals through case management and see where are they having difficulty. Is it the ability to afford first and last month's rent? Is it locating an affordable unit? Those are the kind of things we're working on. So that's the first area that we focus on, is being able to provide housing, is providing that rental assistance to individuals. The next area that we focus on is providing some type of direct housing, meaning that instead of letting you go rent, you need more help from us. And so what we did is we got into case management discussions with those 3,700 people that have had destroyed houses from the fire or major damage, whether you're a renter or an owner, and really understood what is their housing need. From that, we've come up with about 1,500 people roughly that need much more direct assistance. And so what's that mean? When I talk about needing some type of direct housing, that is then the federal government going out and leasing for you a unit or building temporary units. And so we're looking at both of those right now. We worked with the county to locate 3 or 4 different sites to potentially put temporary units at. We've gone through a number of vendors that have the units. The Corps of Engineers are doing design drawings right now for those locations. But the problem with establishing temporary units is sometimes the length of time it takes to get them operational and working and meet all the codes and standards here. So we're working on that. Plus there's limitations that exist with water, sewer, and all those kind of things that we need to overcome in order to put those in place. The area that we're really focused on direct housing is leasing units that are already here. We know there's 11,000 vacation rentals that are here. We're actively pursuing those vacation rentals. If only 2,000 to 3,000 were to become available, it would really solve the housing situation. We have 2,700 families right now in the hotels that are being sheltered by Red Cross. We know that that is not a long-term solution as the availability in hotels changes and it causes individuals to move, which only increases anxiety and other issues. So hotels are just a starting point. We really want to get someone into a long-term housing solution and putting individuals into rentals, whether you rent them or you come to us for direct housing, is something that we're trying to work toward. The mayor's work to create tax incentives is a help. We're having an industry day tomorrow, or Friday, I mean, with a bunch of different owners and managers of those units. But it's complex. We're in the process of reaching out to the owners directly. Many of them live in the western United States, and so we're reaching out to them directly. And we're going to offer competitive rates to be able to hopefully negotiate and get to rentals. So far, we have about 200 units we've rented. We're starting to lease individuals into those units. And the good news is we have families that are right now, or that we've put in rentals. So we want to work with everyone that's displaced or lost a house or in the hotels right now to help them through our programs. The FEMA Individual Assistance Program, the deadline to apply is December 11th. So if you haven't not applied, please apply right now. There are, for unique situations, the ability to apply afterwards, but it's much easier if you apply right now before that December 11th date. So I'm urging you to apply for that. If you have homeowners insurance and you have alternate living expense, go use that to rent, because what's going to happen in the next couple of months is the housing market and the rental market's only become more constrained, which means less options for you. So go rent right now. If you have the means and you have insurance and you have alternate living expense or a fund to rent, go do that now. You'll have a better ability to rent right now, probably a greater opportunity to choose a location. If not, over time, what's going to happen is we're going to continue to rent up to meet the needs for those 2,000 to 3,000 households that need units. And it's become further constricted. And what's going to probably happen is it's probably going to push you further away from the west side in order to find property that you can rent that is affordable. So that's where we're at on housing right now. I'll be over here on the side if you have questions on that, and glad to talk more. I'm going to have SBA come up and talk about loans. Remember, even if you apply for FEMA assistance and you get funding and you get requested to apply to SBA, please do that, because first of all, SBA gives out great low interest loans they'll talk about. Second of all, if you get denied, you come back to FEMA and you can get other direct grant funding from us that's not a loan. With that, let me turn it over to SBA. Thank you.
Aloha, everyone. My name is Barbara Nidus. I represent the U.S. Small Business Administration Office of Disaster Recovery and Resilience. So I wanted to update you, as we do have a recent update, as our deadline has been, we do have a grace period. So this is the direct verbiage. It is SBA will accept applications from businesses and residents for property damage disaster loans after the current IA deadline, which is December 11th. Due to the nature of this catastrophic event, SBA will accept applications for 45 days after the FEMA IA deadline. SBA is not requiring, hold on one second, is not requiring, and hold on one second, not requiring any explanation or any other documentation from the survivors during the 45-day grace period. With the current FEMA IA declaration, this would give the survivors until January 25th of next year to apply for an SBA disaster loan without additional documentation or requirement, procedural requirement. Normally, SBA accepts applications within the 15-day grace period after the FEMA IA deadline. A presidential disaster declaration without any additional requirements after the 15-day grace period, the SBA requires an explanation from an applicant saying why they did not file an application during that file period. This flexibility and additional time is allowed by the administrator based on the unique nature of this event. At the end of the day, I just want to let everyone know that the loan is an option. You're not obligated to accept the loan. It is there. You have up to 6 months, and you can just accept it, yes, or not. So I just want to let you know on that recent update. We have so far have loaned over $265 million, and that's with businesses and homeowners. Thank you for having me on, and I'll be right there on the side. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. So this concludes the presentation portion of our meeting tonight. For your latest information that occurs, please visit mauirecovers.org. And I just want to thank, it's been a big conglomerate of county workers. Aaron was part of that team to make that website happen. So please go there for the latest updates. If you were speaking tonight, could you please raise your hands? So like we mentioned, folks, we're going to stick around to talk story with you all. Over here on my right, we're going to have FEMA. Over in the back, we're going to have Joanna from the Department of Health to speak about air quality. We're going to have Keone with Hawaii Community Foundation in the back, as mentioned before. We're going to have our Public Works team over to your right-hand side, over by the Kokua sign. Our Army Corps partners are going to be over there as well. EPA, Tomas, and IC is going to be there. And also our re-entry team. So thank you very much. I'm going to turn it over to Mayor Bisson for closing remarks.
So in case you guys recognize Josh, his family is a Lahaina family, the Quindays. He was a police officer with my police department for 7 years, assigned out here to Lahaina. You guys might recognize him. He's now a captain in the National Guard and works for us here. So that's Josh Aquinde, one of you guys, folks helping us out here. And he'll be our acting administrator until that position is filled. And just to answer that question, Daryl Oliveira is leading the hiring team. We received, I want to say, 16 applications to fill the position of director at the administrator at the Department of Emergency Management. We have narrowed that down to 5, and I'm sure that they are working as quickly as possible to get that position, to go through the interviews and fill that, and we will let you folks know as soon as that happens. That is actively being worked on now. And so anyway, I just want to say thank you to everybody for coming tonight. Thank you to the speakers. Please take the time to go and chat with them about those different areas. By the way, environmental management is also in the back there too. I don't know if we announced Shane Agawa. I know we have questions about our debris site, so we can take up those in the back. Thank you, everybody. Drive safely when you do leave. Thank you. Mahalo Zeke Kalua for doing our sound.